awesome. Thanks. We had about 9 people that were interested to learn about this topic. And, you and I have had conversations a couple times over the last couple weeks, and I thought that this was just a really timely and a great story to share with nonprofits that are having to adjust with new programming, especially in this virtual world, and then working with the team and staying relevant. So I, thank you for doing this and sharing. The cool thing is we're live, but also it's recording. So if people can't join in right now, they can watch later. So cool. Welcome everyone. If you have those who are watching or joining us, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to moderate that and go from there. So Tony, you're the executive director and founder of Pure Game. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Pure Game first? History, background, and how you entered this world of nonprofit.
I fell into the world of nonprofit. Pure Game is a positive youth development program that uses sport to create positive youth engagement. All of our work is done through school partners, and so we go onto school campuses. We run a character education, life skills curriculum program, and uses the vehicle of sports to deliver it. We think this is a great way of delivering material and content like this because kids are playing, having fun, and so they're not necessarily knowing that they're learning this character or life skills lesson that's embedded in the program that we run. We started it 11 years ago now, and it really came from my experience with the club soccer world, coaching and being involved in that, knowing that I love kids, but knowing that with all of the sports programs that were out there, we were missing a lot of kids who don't necessarily believe themselves to be an athlete. And there was also this idea that we could teach character through sport, not just do sport and have character as a kind of a sidebar, but actually focus on the character and have sports as the sidebar almost. So that's it. That's how we got started. So we ended up as being a non-profit just because my first partner was with KidWorks in Santa Ana, and it was all about reaching the kids in these underserved areas or tougher neighborhoods and helping kids understand that their life matters and that someone cares is the big thing about it.
Great. And so your primary operation, the way you operate, is in the schools, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So talk about then pre-COVID, what did this look like?
So we have over 60 school partners, and we run just over 90 programs at those school partners. And so we'll run a before school program, a morning recess, a lunchtime recess, during school as a PE program, or as an after school program. So any one of those, we're actually connected into the school. One of our staff, we call them field champions, turn up at the school, check in, go out for a lunchtime recess, play sports with the kids, mainly soccer, but games, and get these kids running around and having fun, using the power of positivity and encouragement, which engages the kids even more. And then we deliver message of living life to a full potential, right? So how do they understand their values, their core values themselves, and then how do they live those values out in this sometimes challenging world?
Right. Yeah, I think it's a good use of it's interest-based learning, right? This idea of interest-based learning, captivating the student through something they love, and making it embedded within the school so that the schools have leverage, because every kid needs their thing. Every kid needs the one thing that encourages them to come back. So that helps with truancy, I would imagine, and just overall attention span and self-esteem and confidence. So That's great. So you're in about 60 schools. So does that mean you have a team of 60, or what does that mean to your operations?
Yeah, so we've got a team of, and the connection's not great here. Cox Communication decided to do some maintenance today for some reason, which is awesome timing. But
You're doing okay. You're doing okay.
The question was, okay, I've got a team of, there's 14 of us, all delivering this program across Orange County. So from San Juan Capistrano to Buena Park, and each field champion has 5, 6, 7, 8 schools that they deal with on a weekly basis. So the program is delivered every week. At some schools, it's just once a week. Other schools, it's up to 5 times a week.
And is it just in PE time, or is it also before and after school?
Yeah, before and after school as well, and during recess. So our biggest time frame is actually the lunchtime recess program, and principals love us there at lunchtime because we're kind of an extra set of eyes and an extra pair of hands to help out, to make sure that kids are doing what they should be doing, not getting into fights, and on top of that, you know, like you said, feeling good about themselves and engaging in school in a different way.
Got it. Okay, so that was pre-COVID, right? In the schools, face-to-face, no social distancing. So how is Pure Game adjusting to the stay-at-home order? How has this changed your operations?
I think I had more hair before COVID, for sure. So obviously, when schools closed, that came as a huge shock to everyone. And then it brought up the question, so what do we do now? And my first thought was the staff. So 13 staff, what are they thinking right now? Are they thinking that they're out of work? You know, what's going on there? So my first response was, okay, give them the confidence that they've still got a job. So I message everyone just to say, you've still got a job, you're still working, you're still employed, we're still going to pay you. For now, take this first week off. That first week I gave them all kind of time off to recoup. Field champion work, working with kids on a regular basis, it's hard work, it's tiring. And so I gave them a week off and said, look, just relax. And my leadership team and I, we met every day for that first week, in the morning, via video conferencing, just to talk, just to say, hey, what do we do now? How do we engage at schools? And through this, the conversation and the brainstorming that went on through that week was so cool to watch, and it was awesome. And they came up with this idea of, hey, how about we record videos and we send it to the principals, and they send it to all of their families as part of our program offering. And I was sitting talking to one of the principals on a different phone call, and I came up, I said, can I run this idea by you? We're thinking of doing this remote recess program. And that's how it got named. It was completely accidental. I was like, oh, I like that name. That's what we're going to call it. So we created a remote recess program. We reached out to all of our staff and said, how do you feel about recording yourself on videos, playing all of our crazy games, explaining the rules, and sending this, and we'll send this to the principals and they can send it to the families, like I said. And the feedback that I got from the field champions, our staff, was first off, nerve-wracking because I'm going to be in front of the camera. What does that look like? Second off, I love it. I love the idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great concept. And so one of our comments, the leadership team's comments to our staff was, look, we challenge our kids every day to grow in some way, shape, or form. We challenge them to be better people. So my challenge to you is go do a video, become a little bit better, stretch yourself, and do something you haven't tried before. So we were kind of front loading it there. And then the feedback from the principals so far has been nothing but great. Everyone's loved it. It's easy. One comment from one of our principals was, thank you for not coming to ask me how we can help, but instead, thank you for saying, here's how we want to help. Can you use it? Because one thing that we didn't think of, and not a lot of people think of in these things, is we're all struggling to figure out what this looks like, and to
Yeah.
give a principal another question to say, how can I help, is not helpful at all. So
Yeah.
we just said, hey, this is how we're going to do it. What do you think?
I love that. Yeah, no, it's true. We are in such a fast-paced, like it's not like weekly, it's not monthly, weekly, it's daily and hourly that things are
Yeah, for
changing.
sure.
So by the time you come up with something and think, like, even if you did pose to them, what can we do? Well, right now you can do this, but 2 hours from now it could be totally different. So I like that you're for everyone
sure.
listening, that this is a moment to reflect inward and say, how can I bring the solution? Versus, I think as nonprofits, we're so accustomed to working with the funder, working with the client or the person that we're, you're a contract with the school, right? So sometimes you go in and just do what they want. But now they're actually open to, no. You tell me what you can offer. Like, you tell me what I can share with my teachers and go from there. So it almost feels like it's opening up innovation. Like, it's opening up our minds to what can we do, because everyone is just so open in general. So that's great.
Yeah.
So I actually have, I'm going to share with everyone, I have a little demo here. Maybe we can have everybody see. So why don't you talk us through what's going on here? Actually,
Yeah. So this is Alex, one of our field champions. She's done an awesome job here. She's basically created a special kind of relay race, and the concept is she's out in the backyard. Obviously, she's put a little obstacle course in that backyard, and you'll see in a minute she goes to her family, and two of them are blindfolded. And the concept is you've just got to walk your particular person through the obstacle course, right? And the idea of this is, because every game that we play, yes, it's fun, yes, it's engaging, yes, we laugh. I about wet my pants watching this video, but the idea behind it is there's something in there as a message as well. And this is all about clear and concise communication. And you'll notice communication is key during this time, but more importantly, clear communication is key during this time, because during that video, you just saw the girl take a shot at the goal. I guess that she's got to get it through the cones. And she missed, and the communication wasn't quite there, right? It wasn't quite clear enough. But that's kind of how it all went. And yeah, you'll see that someone got it in missing, lots of missing stuff. But it's how do you communicate clearly that your partner who's blindfolded in this game gets to understand and able to follow instructions. And so the message to families at home for this, and anyone watching, is, hey, how do you communicate clearly so the person listening gets to understand what you're actually saying and what you're talking about and what you mean by it? Because how many times do we miscommunicate, and therefore it creates all sorts of confusion, conflict, and arguments and the like. So yeah, that's some of the stuff that we do within our remote recess, and each one of them has some kind of message behind it to help these kids engage in this. And so the big reason we did a lot of this is, and I know you're going to talk about this, kind of staying relevant. We saw some videos when we were talking about this. We saw some videos, and they were really professionally done. But one of the things I realized, I'm at home with my wife's a teacher, my two kids are 9 and 11, and they're trying to learn. And one of the things that I realized was a professionally done video in a studio is not necessarily relevant to me and my family. And I could look at a video and get turned off really quickly because it means nothing to me. But this is our families shooting videos at home themselves. One of the videos I actually did was triangle tag, and it had my wife, two kids, the two dogs were involved. There was a lot going on. But when someone watches that at their home, they can say, oh, yeah, I can do that. It's fun. We laugh a lot. And we got some physical activity out of it. And this whole idea of remote recesses, how do we also give a little break to the parents out there who are currently pulling their hair out because they're trying to work or they're trying to do stuff at home and their kids are being kids and want to get out and play. They want to be
Yes.
entertained. They want to do something. So how do we do that?
Yes. And so, no, I love it how you kind of went into that staying relevant with not just the schools, right? Because the schools are looking for guidance and support, but with your kids. I mean, this has got to be hard for them that are connected to your field champions, they're connected to the program. And now, I mean, school is so much more for some kids than just education. It's their time for peer to peer. It's their time to connect with other adults outside of their home that they love to see. And I know your field champions definitely have that with a lot of the kids because you've been in the schools now over 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we forget during these times is social interaction is important for everyone, but social interaction for kids, that's even more important. This is how they start to build kind of the image of themselves, how they build kind of how they interact with the world. And suddenly, for this short period of time, and in the whole big scheme of things, it is a short period of time, but now we're suddenly locking kids away from interaction. And I'm wondering what effect this will have on this generation of kids, not just in education, but in the whole social engagement and social interaction side of things.
Right. Oh, yes. It's going to change a lot of things. We're only at the beginning of what it's changing. Yeah. So how else has this changed your relationship with the schools at all? Have they, the principals are saying thank you? Are you getting teacher feedback? You're on YouTube now. I'm assuming you're on social media a lot more. How has this changed that? But then also your nonprofit, your org.
Well, so the big change, obviously, yes, we're getting feedback from principals, and that's great. And they're saying that a lot of the stuff is really wonderful for their kids. What we haven't figured out, and I challenged the team just this morning, is how do we figure out how to find out from a couple of the families who are watching these videos, what does it mean to them? How do we get some feedback from our teachers? And just in general, how do we get feedback from these people who are engaging this? We think it's going to come from social media because we're doing that a whole lot more. We're trying to really get more of a social media plan. So we're still figuring this out. I mean, we're only on week 3, and we said as a team, we're going to fall over and scrape our knees a lot during this time. We have no idea what we're doing and how to produce these videos or put these videos together or put them out into the world. But let's do the best we can with what we've got, and we'll make it up as we go along and kind of change course and correct course as we go.
That's great. And so say a little bit more about how this has changed then your leadership style, because I know that pre-COVID, you were very much in a already like kind of letting go phase. I'm assuming there's been a lot more letting go after this has happened. Are you able to hear me, Tony?
Yes. So, you're cutting in and out a bit. I got the gist of the question, but so the leadership style, it's obviously changing dramatically because of the remote kind of situation that's going on. But I think in a good way, there's a lot more trust. And I think trust is the foundation of any leadership style anyway. But one of the cool things is I've painted the picture of what I'd like to see this remote recess program look like. Right? I'd love this. I want that. And this is kind of exciting times. And then I kind of just said, okay, field champions, it's over to you. What do you want to do? We kind of set ourselves up into teams with little team leaders, and then suddenly I started getting feedback saying, okay, we're doing this. Okay, we're doing this type of video. Okay, we need to put it in. We need to translate into these languages, and here's how we're going to do it. We're going to post the videos to this particular site, make sure they're edited, and then post them to YouTube. And these were all things coming my way. I wasn't being asked for permission to do anything. I was kind of being told that this is what we're doing. And it was to see this team take control of this remote recess program and run with it. And I'm sitting back going, okay, great. I love it. I love the direction. And what happened is our staff has started to come up with their own set of ideas, their own games, their own kind of programming. We've got so many engaged staff members who are really keen to put their own fingerprint on this, right? Their own design on this. Tiffany is going to she started off doing this Friday challenge. So you'll see a first Friday challenge coming out this week. That was her idea. She goes, I want to do this. Elisa and Joy are they're heading the remote recess team. They're kind of putting the framework together. They're saying, when you record a video, do it this way, make sure you add this content. So it's really cool to watch my staff do their thing. Eddie and Octavio, they're kind of running their own teams. We've got Danny and Pete who are looking to do more skills, soccer-based games. Anyway, it's really cool to watch these people do their thing, and I've just found myself kind of stepping out of the way, getting reports, getting feedback, and then just trying to inspire them to do what they do best.
That's great. So you pretty much said, hey, I know nothing of the social media world. You guys figure it out. And then you got out of the way.
Yeah. Let them do what they're good at. You know, it's this whole, one of the things we do with kids is we want strength-based learning. So what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? What are your strengths? Go find something to do in that arena. So we do the same with our staff. And this has highlighted that we've got some people saying, I do not want to be in front of the camera. Great, do one video, and then we'll find something else for you to do. But we got others saying, I love this video stuff. It's come so naturally to me, and I enjoy it. So brilliant, you're in front of the camera, away you go.
That's great. So I love how it's kind of also changing your operations, your org chart, right? You're probably rethinking even programming. I mean, how many boundaries have you broken geographically by going online?
Yeah, huge. It's and we've often talked about what would it look like to create video content, right? So we can reach more people, reach foreign countries, wherever it is. And so we've often talked about this. So as bad as the situation we're in, we're making the most of it because we are creating the video content that we need to take this now wherever we can, wherever wants Pure Game, we can take it there. So training will be online. These videos will be online for people to watch and learn from. And so, in fact, one of our corporate partners who we've been partnered with a long time, Aberdeen Productions, they're stepping up now to help with making the video look a little more professional, right? Just putting just putting a little front end intro and a back end kind of exit type message and work with that. So it's
That's
really
nice.
coming together. Yeah, it's really coming together.
Yeah, I mean, skill-based volunteering is still a thing, right? There are, in fact, even more so right now.
Yep. Yeah, huge thing for nonprofits for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people at home right now that would love to just download your content, put a little dazzle to it, a little pizzazz, and then it looks, there's little fine tweaks that make it look a bit more professional. Absolutely. So that's awesome. Any other program model changes aside from the remote recess program, or just operational changes that you have had to adjust to help those nonprofits who are, just wondering what else to think about?
So one of the things that we've been thinking about a lot during this process is, here we are doing our thing, like this is Pure Game thing, but there are other non-profits that we could potentially come alongside and work with to combine messages, to combine stuff. We haven't stepped into that world yet, but it would be really cool to investigate and explore how we could really collaborate on this. So then the schools aren't just getting a remote recess program, but they're getting content that can be at home with their kids watching. I mean, we're still in this for at least another month, potentially longer. And so how can we provide more in-depth services to schools? So thinking of that as an operational shift is something that we're looking at. And then the other part of it, as far as programming, is how do we do more of this, right? How do we do more live broadcasting? How do we do more interaction where students, parents, teachers, whoever it is, can watch content and actually kind of learn something from it? And we're working on through things like that. But there's some ideas, right, that we're trying to work through. It's the interesting times. We've said it before, but this, we're almost learning as we go. And I think the message that I say to my team constantly is give yourself some grace. Okay, if you make some mistakes, it's okay, it's fine. Let's get back up and do it again. And I think giving that permission to the team is actually helping them become more creative. To let them know that, hey, this is new for all of us and we're figuring this out and we'll fall over. We're not working a 9-to-5 job anymore. If you are wanting to work at 10 o'clock at night, have at it. If you want to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, I don't care. It's not that I'm going to monitor and track you every minute. I'm going to trust that you're going to do it, get out there, get the job done, and that's fine.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's so key. And I love in the beginning how you said, number one, you sent an email out saying, don't worry, we're still working. You're still going to get paid. I think that's on everyone's mind. So I think that's a great, leadership tip, is just giving them comfort and putting them at ease so that you do get great work. Because if they're constantly in the back of their mind thinking, well, what's going to happen? It's hard to be creative when you're pigeonholed into a certain mindset. So I think that's a great lesson for everyone listening that is in that leadership role. And then I love just the freedom, just like, what do you think? And I know how it's hard to sit still. It's hard to be in a confined space. Yeah. So I can only imagine you probably went into that first week going, I need time. Like, I just need time to think and figure it out. And then to have your team come back and say, we got this. Like, what about this? What about that? I mean, that in itself is a good leadership reminder that you have qualified people. You have a lot of millennials. So I think the other tip is ask a millennial and then let them go.
Yeah, trust them. That's the key, right? It's trust. It's just trusting them, letting them do their thing, and get out of the way.
That's great. So one last question, because I know a lot of nonprofits are in this feeling too. Luckily, you are with the schools. How is this affecting your funding partnerships? Are the schools still keeping contracts? Are the funders, just give a little bit of background on what you're experiencing for those that are also trying to figure out, what do I do with my funders? How do I communicate? How do I stay relevant with them?
Yeah, so it is a scary world, right? And yes, we have contracts with our schools, but then we also know that school districts are closed down right now. And so accounts receivable aren't jumping at the bit to write checks right now. So we know that we're potentially walking into some cash flow issues. And I think that's part of what I've been talking to my funders is just letting them know, hey, it's not that we want to keep operational. We want to keep going. We want to make sure that we're still reaching the kids. Because to us, this work is essential for these kids, that they get to see this and hear this. And so just going to our funders and saying, hey, funders, we're still in, we're all in, we're going. Can you potentially help out short term with this cash flow issue, right? This isn't we need more money. This is we need something to help us over this little hump, and letting them know that you've made a pivot, letting them know that you've made a change to still continue doing the work that's so important, and then being upfront and honest with them and saying, hey, this is where we're at, this is what we need. I went to one of our funders and said, look, several of our employees, they've lost their second job. Potentially, could you help them out with that more than just us? Can you help our staff out there? And so they're considering funding lost money from a different job. And so I think that's important to think of. It's not just paying our bills, right? It's some employees are sitting there going, how do I pay the rent? How do I put food on the table? Because I've lost my second or third job, and that's the challenge.
Right. So
okay. Again, being creative and innovative with the funds that you are asking for is also something worth considering.
Yeah. So having conversations even with donors that maybe made pledges or were considering future funding, just kind of having another conversation with them of where that would go now, given the situation. And from the most part, I know in my world too, as funders, we talk, and a lot of us have been very open to just how do you maintain, how do you keep going, but still do the work that you're doing. I mean, I know you're a grantee of the Anaheim Community Impact Grant, and you're still serving Anaheim. If anything, you're able to serve more, given the boundaries that have grown. So I think it's great. So just I want to just go back and continue to remind people who are listening. I think, Tony, you're giving a great example of how you're staying relevant, not just, with your schools, but with your kids. I think now too, the families are learning about you more, right? Because maybe before you were just the soccer program at school, but now you're in their face with the logo, with your website, with your team and staff. Now it sounds like kids can say, hey, that's that's Tony, or that's Eddie, or that's Daniel. They're the ones that because some of these parents probably hear about them over and over again. Now they're getting a face to the team. So you're not just staying relevant with schools, you're staying relevant with the kids, and then also with the funders, letting them know. You shared with me an agenda and an email that you send out to principals, but even that forwarding onto a funder you're able to say, hey, this is still going on. We're still doing these things. So kudos to you for finding ways to stay relevant. Anything else you want to add to that for people that listen or listening later?
No, only the couple of things that come to mind for that, right, is parents, families are overwhelmed right now with worry, with stress, with emails. Just getting so much content and so much information. I think it's being aware of that and trying to meet them where they are, not trying to just bulldoze over them, but just to try and say, hey, here's something that will meet you in the stress of things. Here's a light-hearted way for you to engage your kids. Here's something that you can laugh at while you're engaging your kids or your family, whatever it is, but just trying to meet them where they are. So important.
Yes, I think that's a good reminder for all of us, right? To meet everyone where they are, and understand that families, yes, there are other things that they're stressing over too. So your program and like other programs that are in the schools, you're kind of giving them a break for their kids to be engaged, go outside and do something. Because luckily my kid is 4 years old, and preschool, there's things that he'll figure out and make up later. But if you're in the elementary school age or junior high age, it's difficult for some parents to be the homeschool all of a sudden. So I do worry for our kids in the future and how they're going to keep up academically. So any other closing thoughts for future leaders or people that are listening right now? Any words of wisdom in this time?
I think just recapping on what was said, just have some grace for yourself, be kind to yourself, trust yourself and your staff, and then get out of the way. Just get out of the way. Let them do their thing. Trust them.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, somebody shared, yes, giving yourself grace, such a critical thing, critical in this time. Great leadership reminder for all of us, giving each other grace. So awesome. Well, thank you, Tony. Thanks for having fun with me on Facebook Live. I think it was great information for every nonprofit leader right now that's having to transition their programming, their mindset, their leadership style. And I love what you said about trusting staff, trusting their creativity and innovation to keep yourselves relevant. So thank you again, and we will see you soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye, everyone.